Here's how things finished. Barcelona, as I mentioned, finished top of the group. They're fine, obviously. They qualify for the knockout stages. Quite a dramatic game in Portugal, by the way. We'll show you that a little bit later on. Antwerp pick up their first points of the group stages. Not only their first points, but their first win. Alex Kirkland wasn't supposed to be on today. Okay. What are we going to talk to Alex about? But we've had to wake him up, get him out of bed, and basically drag him to the show because there's a lot going on here, Alex. Let's start off with the fact that Xavi was forced to change the squad that he took to Antwerp by Joan Laporte?
Yeah, it's not a good look, is it, when you publish a matchday squad and then you very hurriedly publish a second amended matchday squad not long afterwards. Now, the club's explanation for that was they said it was logistical reasons. They said there were reasons why they had this change of plans about their travel plans and training arrangements and stuff like that. But it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good, especially when your manager's under pressure, when people know that the president hasn't always necessarily been totally convinced by the manager anyway. It adds to the pressure. And Xavi actually talked about this post-match. He said there's been kind of unnecessary tension around this game because of this squad's kind of mix-up. So I don't think that was helpful at all. And look, it's been a dreadful week for Barca. Beaten by Girona in La Liga, beaten by Antwerp in the Champions League, conceded 7 goals in 2 games. I mean, tonight, as you've just seen, was an absolute horror show from front to back, right the way through the team. Romeo was the biggest culprit, giving away those 2 goals, but no one really came out of it with any credit. And the pressure keeps growing on Xavi. We keep saying that Xavi, he won't be sacked imminently, that he'll be given time to turn this around. But that pressure is building. There's no doubt, because the team aren't getting better. They're getting worse. He was quite honest about that post-match. He said, look, we're not playing well. It's a bad run. We need to turn this around. We've got to be self-critical. And yes, of course. But it's down to him to make these things happen. And we haven't seen any signs so far that Xavi kind of has the answers to try and fix this.
This defence that was so solid, Craig, when they won La Liga last season, it has just completely and utterly capitulated. Plus, you're being undermined by the president, apparently, if you're Xavi. This is a mess. I don't think it's going to end well for Xavi.
Not unless he picks results up very quickly and performances. Now, he played Lewandowski in this game.
Who we suppose wasn't supposed to be going on this trip.
Yep, and Lewandowski is going to be needed for a big game at the weekend. Could do with him getting back in the goals, but can't afford to lose him just in case he does hit form, which he might do, but he's looking like the 35-year-old we know he is, and certainly has in the last few games. But yeah, this is not a Barcelona side to me that has looked like in the last few weeks, or looks like any time soon is going to turn this corner. It really doesn't. It looks to me as if, I mean, you mentioned it, Royal Antwerp, no points going into this game. 0 points, had been battered off everybody. And this Barcelona team looks like if you have got anything about you in La Liga, you can get at them. You absolutely can get at them. And I think we're going to see teams doing that to them.
Lewandowski, Araujo, Gundogan weren't supposed to travel. Logistics it was, Ali. Absolute logistics. Nothing to do with the fact that they wanted the money from beating Antwerp, which obviously has completely backfired now. And you've got a mess on the pitch and off it.
Yeah, and when you start getting the president involved with decisions that affect what happens on the field, you start to begin to see sort of the end coming. And in this case, it won't be for the president, it'll be for Xavi. When those arms extend all the way from the VIP section to, hey, on the field, and now I'm making decisions about who travels and who doesn't travel, you're taking some of that decision-making power away from the manager. And now you're crossing over into a gray area that doesn't in any way make things better for Xavi, for the players, or for the club, for that matter. This team, defensively, last year you mentioned, they were outstanding. And if it wasn't because they won the title so early, they may have been record-breaking how good they were defensively. They gave up a bunch of goals late in the season. None of that this season. None of that. In fact, it's not like they've gone halfway too bad. No, they've gone all the way to the other side of the spectrum, and now they're allowing goals that are hard to explain. And while I understand that right now we focus on Romeo and say those are his mistakes today, what about on the weekend? You can pass the mistakes around everywhere. So it's a symptom that goes across the whole squad, the lack of confidence, the inability to find a shape, a defensive structure. We don't know what this team is trying to do on the field, and we don't know how the decisions made by Xavi are actually affecting this team in a positive way. You add that to the fact that the president is getting involved, and all signs point to a bad ending unless things turn around and quickly.
Alex, how big a deal is this result?
Well, look, it's a strange one because, as you've mentioned, they've qualified top of the group and they're going through to the round of 16. That's a position they would have loved to have been in a season ago. Remember last year they got knocked out in the group stage and then messed it up in the Europa League as well. So that's great. That's the good news. That's where Barcelona as a club should be in the Champions League knockout stage. But do they look like a team who can do anything in the Champions League? No, probably not. This result in itself, in a game that didn't matter, they're already group winners. No, it's not a massive deal, but it's the context, and it's this run of results, this run of form, this building, growing pressure all the time. Huge game in La Liga, by the way, against the Valencia at the weekend, which they absolutely have to win to try and start to turn the tide. So yeah, it's not about this one result, this one performance. It's about the context. It's about the growing pressure. It's about the questions around Xavi. One or two reports coming out in Spain this week about some of the players maybe not being totally happy with Xavi. I don't know how true they are, but the fact those leaks are coming out of the club is significant in itself. And no, look, the feeling is not good. The sensations, as they say here in Spain, around Barcelona right now are not good, and this result does not help at all.
Those reports that Alex is talking about is about players being unhappy regarding how many days off they're getting, that they're getting too many days off. Now, let me tell you, I have never, ever heard players complain about having too many days off. So this is not coming from the players. This has been leaked by the club and from other sources. No chance players are saying, we don't want days off.
Shaka.
Well,
He's a lucky man, though, isn't he?
For me?
Xavi.
Oh.
He's a lucky man.
In what sense?
That they pulled this group out.
Yes.
Because...
Yeah, that's true. If they were in a group of death, it could be a different story.
Because the way they're playing, most other groups would have been a toil for them.
Yes.
That's how bad and how inconsistent and how open they've been. So he's lucky he's not looking at the second straight year having an embarrassing Champions League. And then after that, they had an even more embarrassing, going out to Man United in the Europa League. So he's very lucky to this point. But if he pulls somebody big, decent in the knockout, currently, as we sit here now, they're going out.